was, we have no king but Jesus. They repudiated the idea of a king because they wanted a different kind of government. A government where everyone was subject to the law and the people were sovereign. And as if a gift by God, we got the Constitution. And we held on to the Constitution for a long time. But now it is slipping out of our fingers. Now it lies ripped in shreds upon the ground. Now we have a Supreme Court that can't read the Constitution anymore. We are one judge away from having no Second Amendment. We are one judge away from having no First Amendment. We are one judge away from having people who believe that there are no limits on the federal government at all, and it can reach down to control every minute facet of our lives. And what happens when the federal government reaches down and controls every minute facet of our lives? We have idiots, educated idiots, 2,500 miles away in Washington, D.C., making rules by which our communities must live and die. We have them making rules that if a lightning bolt hits a tree standing next to a forest ranger, he can't put it out with a chainsaw. He's got to sit there and watch the fire burn because it's a wilderness area, and the educated idiots know it's more important to burn wilderness to a crisp than it is to save it. This is what we are rebelling against. We are attempting to restore a vision of government where we control the government and we are not controlled. Now, this is something that is, thank you, this is something that we are trying to achieve, but it's going to be a long battle, and this is but one of the first battles. Yet it is the most important election I have ever seen in my lifetime. We have a federal government that has sent this country over a cliff. We have seen them borrow $16 trillion. We have seen that out of every dollar they spend, they are printing 40 cents out of thin air. And any of you who know anything about history know that when countries start to do this, the end is near. Very hard times are coming. These times are going to come no matter who we elect. But what's important about who we elect is that we elect people who want to restore America and not to destroy America. Here today to speak in front of a great group of people who are on the right side of that historical struggle. You know, Ronald Reagan said we're only one generation away from losing civilization. Never have we been closer than now. Never have we been dealing with people who want to turn it back to no more rule of law, no more accountability. Now, as we go forward in these next 30 days to the election, I want to offer you 3 things to talk about with your friends. Because you're going to have to talk with your friends, and you're going to have to talk with people in the checkout lines, and you're going to have to talk with people everywhere you see, because we can no longer rely on the news media to do that. We know that the news media are the ones who are out there on the wrong side trying to enslave us. It will come down to you. And what can you tell people who are ignorant about what makes America great? You can use common sense. I want to leave you with 3 common sense ideas to use with your friends and neighbors. First, decentralization. Everyone understands that we don't need 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 layers of governments and agencies all in charge of the same thing. Everyone knows that this doesn't work. Everyone who's watched a detective movie has seen it. You know, the local police are there solving the crime, and then in come the feds, and oh, this is our jurisdiction now, and they spend the rest of the movie fighting with each other while the murderers go out and kill a few more people. That's what we have for government now. That is a metaphor for every single thing that they are doing. Everything we want to do, if we want to build a bridge, if you go back and look how much it used to cost to build a bridge or a tunnel, it now costs 10 times as much because we have planning and layers of government kicking things back and forth and making layers and layers of planning. Up in Portland, they're trying to plan a bridge across the Columbia River, and they've spent $108 million doing it. And they get to the end, and gee, they made it 50 or 70 feet shorter than all the other bridges. And what's the answer? Just start all over again. You're just taxpayers. We can just print more. This is headed for disaster. This debt, this crisis will happen. These debts will be paid. They will be paid by defaulting on the people who are relying on the government's promises to pay. They will be paid by higher taxes. They will be paid by inflation. And it will bring about a state of affairs where everyone will be looking around to say what went wrong, and you are the people who can tell them because you're paying attention now. And unless you go out and tell them, we will not take that path upward, back toward restoring freedom and prosperity, but we will take the path downward toward slavery and dictatorship and misery. What else can you tell your friends and neighbors? How about the idea that things should be more simple? That's one of the things I'm campaigning on as Attorney General. I want to simplify the laws. I want to tell agencies that come to me with some prosecution under Section 5478 sub A sub 2 sub P sub little 4 sub 5 that that's too complicated. That violates the state statute against simple laws and agency rules. I'm not going to prosecute that. Go back to the drawing board. Make new rules. You have to fight. Fight for simplicity. And even after you elect people, you have to keep the pressure on because they sit up there in Salem or in Washington, D.C., and the only thing they hear is from the agencies. The agencies come and tell them a solution to all the problems. Well, you know what? You can't solve a problem if your salary depends on not understanding the problem. And that's what we have now. An army of agency and government employees out there who can't understand the problem because the problem is them. We have a cancer in this state. We have a cancer of government. And it's going to become more and more apparent as the gears of commerce and prosperity grind to a halt. And your friends and neighbors understand this. So push simplicity. Last but not least, accountability. Everyone is sick at heart from the collapse of the rule of law in this country. Everyone is sick at heart from seeing this gigantic criminal class that goes out there and invests hundreds of billions of dollars in junk, and then when the junk doesn't pay, they come to the taxpayers and say, you should pay. And now you're paying $40 billion a month out of thin air. The Fed is going to buy all these bad investments from the bank and put it on your charge card and sink us lower and lower. And people know this. And people are angry about this. And people are angry about the fact that nobody is prosecuted for fraud or any kind of wrongdoing at all. It doesn't matter what they do, so it seems. If it's the mayor of Portland and his underage boys, or the mayor or the governor of Oregon and his underage girls, or these people taking these secret 4% kickbacks on this bridge planning contract, nobody is prosecuted. That is something the Attorney General can do something about. And that is something that I will fight for. Thank you.